Another year, another playoff, and yet another Saka at quarterback for Delran. But head coach Pete Miles has quite a lot of backfield talent in the person of speedster Clinton Lott. Solid line play led by state wrestling champ Bill Duff paves the way for a balanced offensive attack, which will challenge Sterling's stingy defense. At Sterling, Coach Jim Gallagher is no stranger to championships, taking teams at two different schools into the playoffs. His favorite vehicle? Defense. But Sterling boasts a crushing ground game of its own, with John Fox getting the call behind the great blocking of Joe Miller. Quarterback Dave Santana directs the offense with poise, while Ryan Barikian fires up that fabled defense. Stay with us as the Delran Bears challenge the Sterling Silver Knights for the South Jersey Group 2 Championship. It's coming up next on Garden State Cable TV's High School Sports Spotlight.
Partly cloudy skies, lots of wind, temperatures in the 30s, and if it's this cold, it must be December. If it's December, it must be championship football. It's the South Jersey Group 2 Championship between the Sterling Silver Knights and the Delran Bears. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to a very chilly Runnymede, New Jersey. I'm Jack Hibbert, and we're happy to welcome back alongside for this broadcast Ed Foley. And a couple of teams featured this afternoon that were, by the way, not a part of the top seeds in this Group 2 playoff bid before this thing began, but are here in the championship game off a couple of big wins, and two teams, Ed, that really love to run the football.
Well, that's right, Jack. I mean, you're going to be talking about running the football today, especially with the conditions and the wind. For Delran, you've got another Saka quarterback, Ralph Saka, a junior, was hurt a little bit early in the year, but they really run the football. I'm sure Ralph will probably be throwing more next year. Running back Clinton Lott has run for over 1,250 yards. On the other side of the coin, you have Sterling. You've got John Fox for Sterling, who has just passed the 1,000-yard mark, and we're looking for a running football game and defense.
And don't forget, we mentioned right at the top Joe Miller, who's the fullback in front of Fox, who's rushed for nearly 800 yards by himself. But Ed may come down to defense this afternoon. While both teams average about the same offensively, about 20 points a game, Delran gives up a little over 12 a game. Sterling, though, has been just outstanding on defense, only giving up 4.1 points a game, and they have not allowed a touchdown against their defense in the last 20 regulation quarters. Ought to be a great game. We talk about strategy, we talk about luck. We may see a little bit of both here this afternoon, but right now let's get the perspective from the coaches on this road to the championship.
You know, losing to Salem was a loss that they took pretty hard, so we had to get back with Northern Burlington next week. Not only a tough Group 2 team, but a Patriot Division team in our division. And we had to do it without our starting quarterback. So we worked hard during the week, and we featured a little more of the running attack, and that was kind of the birth of Clinton Lott, I think. Clinton has been an outstanding running back, was a backup for Nate Hemsley last year, another outstanding player. Kind of waiting in the wings for Nate to leave, and Clinton's filled a tremendous void, that we were concerned about in our backfield in losing Nate. But in addition to that, we had Ralph to balance things out, and a veteran offensive line, and two nice receivers, Joe Oliver and Rich Brandon, have caught some clutch passes for us when we needed to throw the ball this year. Defensively, we're a lot alike, although we've in the past been kind of offensive oriented. We also have a defense that's pretty good. A lot of the touchdowns we've given up this year have been touchdowns that have been on kickoffs. We've given up 3 kickoff returns. We've given up a touchdown on offense with a fumble recovery. So a lot of the points we've given up have come off of our offense. So it's going to be a battle of two defensive teams, no doubt. Well, the Sterling defense is definitely very talented. I think they have some outstanding linebackers, and we're really concerned with the fact that we have to be able to get to their linebackers and try to block them. Up front, they're very good size. I think we match up pretty well. They might have a little bit of a weight advantage, but I think that our kids, being a little more experienced, might balance that out. So I think it's going to be a battle in the trenches, and I think that you know, the key is to see how we can handle their two linebackers. They're just doing an outstanding job.
There's an old expression, on the way to a championship, there's a certain amount of luck involved, and you know, we haven't had any injuries. We've been very lucky that way. We've won the close ball games. The kids have stuck together, and you know, we've just had an outstanding season. And offensively, we're probably one of the finest rushing teams, I would say, in South Jersey. We have two of the finest backs that you could find around in Joe Miller and Fox. One is the fullback and the other the tailback, and combined they have almost 1,800 yards rushing. Well, obviously we got to stop their back, Mr. Lott, who scored about 118 points and I think has 1,200 yards rushing, and he's definitely one of the premier backs in South Jersey, so we know we have to stop him. And they also have a fine quarterback, the junior quarterback, Saka, who's related to the two more famous ones. They're a little bit older, but he's also a very good quarterback in his own right. However, I think our kids are going to be up to the challenge, and I think it's going to be a great football game.
Well, I guess one thing, Ed, that we mentioned right at the top of our intro here was the weather, and I guess a lot of people, those who didn't want the playoffs moved back to December, will have a lot of ammunition to argue for today because it's flat out cold, and as you mentioned, could be a very tough day to throw the football.
Well, I was watching the quarterbacks warming up, and you know, the ball was blowing all over the place, and you know, they're not throwing teams to begin with, but it's going to be very difficult to throw the ball, so it's almost more important to whoever has the better running game.
While we were listening to the coaches here in the field, we even saw a few stray snow flurries, so it could be quite an interesting afternoon here again this afternoon. The South Jersey Group 2 Championship. While it's cold outside, the action on the football field should be hot, and we'll be back with the opening kickoff right after this.
Welcome to Larry King Live.
You may not be watching the channel the people next door are watching, or the program the average American likes best, but tonight you can watch exactly what you want to watch, and everyone else who subscribes to cable can do the same. Television for individuals instead of for the masses. It's one of your local cable company's basic values.
There is nothing you can't do with this, folks. You jump.
His classmates like him.
Yeah, he's nice.
His teachers respect him.
Very good, Charles. Very good.
But nobody really knows him. Stephen King's Sleepwalkers. And she had better watch her step.
No!
'Cause it's bad. It's ugly. And it's back. Alien 3. Stephen King's Sleepwalkers and Alien 3. December on First Run.
Welcome back to Sterling High School. I'm Jack Hibbert along with Ed Foley. We are just about set for the opening kickoff of the South Jersey Group 2 Championship between the Sterling Silver Knights and the Delran Bears. Ed, right before the break, you and I talked about the weather, and that weather obviously already playing a little bit of the factor in what Coach Gallagher wanted to do. I think that and plus his great defense, but on the coin toss, Sterling won, but has deferred their choice to the second half.
Well, that's right, Jack. It's more and more nowadays when the team that wins the toss defers. A lot of feeling is that usually great teams have great defenses, and they would rather put another team out there with their offense who's maybe a little bit jittery and a little bit nervous, whereas the defense doesn't experience quite that same thing.
Well, we told you about that great defense of Coach Jim Gallagher and Sterling. I don't know if you caught it, if I said it too quickly, but this team has not given up a touchdown in 20 regulation quarters. Now, that's excluding their overtime win that got them here to their championship game against Buna, but 20 quarters, Ed, that is 5 football games. That's more than half a season gone by that this team has not given up a touchdown. That is quite an amazing statistic.
That's very, very impressive.
To get here, as we mentioned, Sterling won in an unbelievable double overtime, 14-7 over Buna. And Delran overcame a 19-point deficit at halftime to win 23-19 over Hamilton. This is the championship, the final football game of 1992. The kickoff is up, and it is fielded at the 20-yard line. Trying to get outside is number 21, Rich Brandon, but he'll be tackled as he comes across the 30-yard line. Here's the starting lineup for the Delran Bears as the offensive unit comes on the field under the direction of Ralph Sacca, the quarterback, and the last of a long list of Sacca quarterbacks at Delran. Here's the rest of the starting lineup. At tackle, it'll be Mike Karwicki along with Ryan Bucci. The center is Kevin Joyner. Hayner at guard on the other side along with the much-heralded Bill Duff. From the power eye, or from the straight eye formation, a quick handoff inside, and that goes to Dave Forsell. Forsell getting the first carry of the ball game. Here's the rest of the lineup. Forsell is the fullback. The tailback, of course, we already talked about Clinton Lott. The flanker is Joe Olivio, and the wide receiver is Rich Brandon. Here's the defensive lineup. McCulligan, Stewart, big Ernest Stewart on the line, along with Pearson, Henry, and Prince up front for Sterling. We'll give you the rest of their starting defensive lineup in a moment. Now here's Clinton Lott trying to get across the 36-yard line, and he's in after a gain of just 2. Here's the remainder of that starting lineup. Jim Chapman, along with all-conference Ryan Barikian back there at linebacker, Devin Carter, Derek Hardware, Robert Mann, and Jay Brook in the backfield.
And Jack, they tried to get a lot outside there, but that was closed very quickly by Ryan Barikian and also Brian Prince. So early on, their defense looks good.
Third down now at about 7. Sacca hasn't thrown it much, only 73 times this year, but he's been successful half of those tosses. He'll throw on 3rd and 7. Going long down the field. He's got a receiver open, but he threw behind Joe Olivio, and that was off the mark. But Olivio that time beat his defender by 2 or 3 steps.
Well, again, Jack, that's what we're going to see with the conditions. That ball was thrown very well. It looked like it was going right to the receiver, but it went over the right shoulder and over his head, and I think the wind took it.
By the way, as you mentioned, Ed, that's the way the wind is blowing from your seat across the field as you look at your television set. Officials for today's conference, the veteran referee George Daniels along with Bill Underwood. Joe Capacletta at linesman. The lines judge Dan Green. Back judge is Jim McCovern.
Bad snap. I think he put his knee down.
And he did. There you go. George Daniels, referee, says that Sterling will take over on the 21-yard line. How about that? Here's a look at the starting lineup for the Silver Knights as they take the field under the direction of this guy right here, David Santana. Santana having an outstanding season running and operating this offense. The rest of the offensive lineup includes Nestor, Delaney, Bowman, Weston, Wynn, and Tinkham on the front line offensively. And we'll give you the backfield starting lineup in just a moment. Santana sets his offense out of the power eye. The first give is to number 45, John Fox. Here's the rest of the lineup. It is Fox along with the tough fullback Joe Miller leading the way. Cliff Jones and William Roscoe also there. For Delran up front, it's Rich Pierce and Bill Duff along with Reby, Haas, and Dunlop on the front line. In the defensive secondary, Pistone, Theus, Lott, Forsell, Palmer, and Ralph Sacca going 2 ways, playing as a defensive back.
And John Fox got that ball there, first play there, and Duff stuffed him, but he got a couple of yards.
2nd and 4, it's to Miller. He cuts inside, and he's got a first down, or at least will be very close, around the 11-yard line. And that's the thing that is so dangerous about this offense, Ed. You not only have John Fox, but you got Joe Miller, who's had an outstanding season.
Well, again, they went to a trot play there, opened up a gaping hole in the middle for Joe Miller. In the first play, they went to John Fox, and he ran right into Bill Duff. He took Duff back a few yards, but Duff had made the play.
He'll come up with just enough to get the first down. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Silver Knights on the 11-yard line. Miller, the fullback, has 776 yards in 1992, and he's averaging nearly 7 yards per carry. The siren you hear is not a fire alarm. We are safe. I know lots of people probably worried about that. That's the victory siren here at Sterling. Fox trying to get up the middle. He's stacked up right at the line of scrimmage that time. And in on the play is big number 77, Bill Duff.
Gain of 1, 2nd and 9 for the 10.
Well, the play there also, Jack, done very nicely in the middle of the line by number 33. Hold on, here they come. I right.
With the power set formation, 2nd down and 9. Santana with the quick give again to the fullback. And it's Miller inside the 5-yard line.
He carried about 3 people with him and get about 6-7 yards on the play. It's going to be about a 3rd down and maybe 2.5, 3. Someone's hurt out there.
Yeah, a player down for Delran. It looks like number 22, Todd Pistone. He is hurt very early on in this contest. If you just joined us, we're just underway. 8:21 remaining here in the first quarter, but Sterling is threatening after Delran had a knee go down on their punt after the first 3 plays of the ball game. A lot of people bundled up for this one. As you can see, the winter parka's in full effect here this afternoon.
Yeah, Jack, talking about that play, what you have to watch, if you're back to punt and it's a bad snap, you must make sure you bend to pick up the ball, but you don't touch your knee. If you touch your knee, you're down. On the other side of the coin, I couldn't see it clearly, but the official better make absolutely sure that the individual's knee down, and if it's close, you don't call it.
Well, there wasn't a lot of argument from Delran, so I can only assume that it wasn't as close as it possibly seemed. Well, while we have an injured player on the field and Coach Gallagher thinks about what he'll play next, we'll take a quick break. 8:21 remaining in a scoreless first quarter of play.
A desperate American alone in Calcutta.
Don't try to recruit me. You got your non-practicing Catholics? I'm a non-practicing doctor.
A heartfelt story of the triumph of the human spirit.
You want to change things, you have to risk.
City of Joy. And fate made them partners in a land far from home. An incredible journey.
Maybe this is my destiny.
Far and away. 2 epic motion pictures premiering in December on First Run.
Vince, that new dummy cam is great.
Yeah, it'll sure give people a whole new outlook on what it's like when you don't wear a safety belt.
I think they'll get the picture.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Gotta jump on things, a new place to go, some stuff to see, cool stuff to know. It's you and your buddies hanging out.
We take trips. Hey, check this out.
You got Cub Scout Cool, and your end comes to roll. You got Cub Scout Cool, and it's in your soul.
Getting it together till we're out of sight. We're sticking with Scouts, and we're doing all right. We got cool, we got cool.
You got Cub Scout Cool.
We're back at Sterling High School, but as you can see, the injury to Todd Pistone looks rather serious. They've had to call for medical attention, and we'll have to wish this young man the best, but it looks like he's going to have to actually leave the premises for some attention, but they've been able to get him off the field, and we're ready to resume the action. 8:20 remaining here in the first quarter. Sterling threatening on their opening possession. 3rd down. About 2. They need to get to the 2-yard line for a first. They'll give it to Fox. He struggles down there, and let's see where he's marked. He'll have the first down, but be short of the goal line.
He's down on the 1-yard line, and he simply went off tackle behind that I formation right. And good blocking up front by Mike Wynn, Tim Delaney.
So it's 1st down and goal now for Sterling, trying to capitalize on what wasn't a turnover, but may as well have been as they got the ball in the 21. It's Fox,
and
he's
in.
Got the touchdown.
And Jack, that's a huge turnover. That the punter from Delran went down to 1 knee, called by the referee. That was a big turnover for Sterling, and they go right down and score.
Well, this was a lot like what we saw out of Sterling in the first game of our high school sports spotlight football action in '92. Remember, we saw Sterling take on Audubon, and Sterling didn't do much offensively that day except capitalize on mistakes by the other team, and they take one here in for the first score of this South Jersey Group 2 championship.
Snap is down, it's up, and it's good. A kicks by Dave Pearson. Okay, here it is. Here it is, off tackle here. He's going to go in and score. John Fox, that's the touchdown replay.
For John Fox, that'll just increase his scoring on the 1992 season. He came into the ball game with 102 points.
Yeah, you got a couple of big plays there. You had Joe Miller went up the middle on 2 drop plays for about 12 yards, 7 yards on one, 5 on the other. At the end, John Fox goes 2 to 3 carries, and he takes it in from the 1 yard line.
You don't have to do much fancy offensively when you only have to go 21 yards for a scoring drive, and that's all that Sterling had to do to get things started here this afternoon.
And Jack, that's a double advantage for Sterling because they deferred the choice, which means if they get the ball right back, which they did, they scored, and they're still going to get the ball in the second half. So
that was exactly what Coach Gallagher needed to start this contest. A short kick into the wind, and as the player fields the football, he'll be marked down right at the 20-yard line. Number 21, Rich Brandon, had to make quite an effort just to catch the ball.
Well, again, the wind a big factor there. The player, thinking the ball was coming another 10 yards, ran up and had to go down to one knee to catch it. So there's twice now in 2 series that a player from Delran has gone to their knee. Here's Ralph Saka bringing them out.
1st and 10 for the Bears at their own 20-yard line. From the eye. Saka with the pitch to Lott. He tries to get around the corner, unable to do so as he's pursued very well on the play by number 50, Kevin Henry.
On the carry, Kevin Henry makes the stop. Lott gets 1. Will be 2nd and 9.
Okay, Henry came up real well on that play, and again they've tried to get Lott outside twice now, and he's been stuffed on the line. And that was a
Lott came into this ball game very hot, 342 yards in his last 2 contests with 6 touchdowns, but it's been tough going for him here in the early going.
Saka option.
Late pitch, and they'll give it to Lott, and Lott again will be caught in the backfield, and again, great pursuit. That time, Derek Hardware in to trip him up before he could get off.
Yeah, and Jack, Derek Hardware makes the play there. He also forced the play on the previous situation with Lott. Yeah, there it is again. Option pitched by Saka, and Lott gets stuffed for maybe no gain, maybe a half a yard.
That's a ball that Saka's got to be careful about pitching it because the pitch man that time was very well covered by Henry.
Okay, it's going to be 3rd down and about 9.5 passing situation.
Saka's thrown it once, was unsuccessful. Now he comes across the middle of the field, has a receiver complete to number 85, who is the big tight end, Rich Pierce. And Pierce has a 1st down across the 30-yard line.
Well, that was a nice throw by Saka. Again, they stayed in the I formation. The play action went back there and threw to Pierce, who did about a 10, 11-yard sideline.
That time, Saka right on the mark. His first throw was well off the target. That time, no problem at all. First down of the ball game for Delran. They're in a 7-0 hole. Saka will look to throw on 1st down, coming down the middle of the field this time, and into traffic, and nearly made a great throw to Joe Olivio, who was covered by 2 or 3 blue shirts, but that was right on the numbers.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe Olivio did a seam pattern, and it looked at when Saka threw it that it was going to be picked off because it was covered pretty well, but it floated right there. Here it is again. Throws the seam down the right seam, and it's right in the hands of Olivio, but it was covered pretty well.
Super coverage again, though, by Sterling on the play. 2nd and 10. They'll split 2 receivers wide to the left. Joe Olivio again in the slot. Saka will throw over the middle again, looking for the tight end, Pierce. This time he led him a little bit too far. It went off the fingertips and incomplete.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jack, I don't know how much the wind is definitely a factor out there, because the throw itself looked okay. The receiver actually stopped and then started again. If he had kept going, he might have misjudged the ball and the wind took it again. I hear you have Delran going for a pure passing game the last few rounds.
This time they send those two receivers to the right side. Stay in the I formation. Saka rolls on a bootleg. Comes across the middle of the field and has number 17, Olivio, open. And he gets away from his receiver and does get outside into Sterling territory at the 30-yard line.
Saka's pass complete to Joe Olivo, driven out of bounds by Rob Mann.
Jack, that was a great bootleg action by Saka. He actually had three receivers wide open. One in the left flat, and both of them coming across the middle. So not good coverage, poor coverage by Sterling, but excellent play by Saka and Olivo.
Well, this may be a little bit of surprise to the Sterling defense. They have abandoned giving the ball, it appears, to Lott, at least temporarily. They threw 4 straight passes and have moved down the field. 1st and 10 for the Bears. At the Sterling 30, they'll go to the air again. Saka has this one knocked down on a fine defensive play by Ken McCulligan.
Knocked down by Ken McCulligan.
McCulligan jumped on that nice and then knocked that down. I think what Pete Miles has decided is that his running game, which he tried early, was getting stuffed very quickly. And not a bad idea. You get into a championship game, you better start using the pass to open up the run if you're not getting the run.
McCulligan, one of the first-team All-Stars in the Colonial Conference. Showed you why there. Delay give, this time to Clinton Lott. Lott just can't find any running room here in the early going of this contest.
Yep, so the indication there is, although the pass was effective, it still did not open up the run, which means that Sterling is beating Delran on the line of scrimmage.
Well, the linebacker's just flying.
Here it is. Here's the play, the rollout. Saka hits Olivio, and he takes it and breaks it to the right side, and that was the big play you saw about 3 plays ago.
Well, that got them to where they are, but 2 straight unsuccessful plays has them at the same spot, 3rd down and 10. Again, they'll throw. Again, they'll use the naked bootleg. Saka gets away from his defender momentarily, and then finally will be caught up to as he gets maybe back to the line of scrimmage. He just had nobody open downfield, and then it was a scramble. Good defensive coverage on the play by Bob Mann.
He takes a big hit there from Robert Mann, and he had the bootleg going. Here's the bootleg. He's looking once, looking twice, tries to take it down, and boom, he gets hit there by Mann.
You see Saka roll off that hit, though. He showed you right there on that play that he's not going to go down real easy. Mann stayed with it and shoved them out of bounds.
Taking a long time to get this play in.
Yeah, and you can't afford a delay penalty here because this will put you in a 4th and like 16. It's 4th and a little over 10 right now. 10.5 yards for the first. They'll go with trips left. 3 receivers to the left side. There's your penalty. Boy, that's just a dumb penalty at this point and this juncture, Ed. You cannot afford to shoot yourself in the foot when you're deep in your opponent's territory.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, not to, the quarterback would normally get criticized for that, but that's not Ralph Saka's fault. It took forever for that play to get in from the sideline. If there was any doubt, they should have called timeout.
Yeah. And here you go, 4th and 16 now. Ball back outside the 35-yard line. They need to get it to about the 19.5 for a first. Same formation. The 3 receivers to the left. They throw weak side screen, and he missed his mark. Lott was open in the flat. He did have Barikian covering him, but Saka never got the ball to him, and the Sterling Knights once again hold defensively.
Jack, I tell you, that was not a great throw by Saka, but I tell you what I didn't like about the play, it was too long of a screen to complete in this weather. With this kind of wind blowing, better you go back to a straight drop-back screen.
Well, that was one of my thoughts. The other thought in that situation, Ed, is with all that distance, all that green grass between, you certainly take the risk of somebody picking it off and taking it the other way. Didn't happen, but Sterling gets the ball back anyway. Here's Fox hitting the backfield, stays on his feet, and will pick up a couple of yards.
John Fox.
Dave Romero had a shot at him from his defensive end position, but he couldn't wrap him up.
Fox gets 1, 2nd and 9.
That was Martin Dunlap who had the shot in the backfield, number 83.
Okay, so only a gain of half here.
Fox was well to do that, though. They send a man in motion, and they'll give it in the middle to Joe Miller. And Miller fights his way forward, picks up about 8 yards, and is near another first down. And this is exactly what happened in the first game. We came in with a lot of hype about John Fox, and certainly he's had a great season. But as I said earlier, the thing that makes Sterling dangerous is you've not only got Fox, but you've got Joe Miller, who I think may be more dangerous. At least he's averaging more per carry. Third and about 1.5 yards. They'll give it to Fox, and he's got the first down.
Well, as you said, Jack, first down there by Fox. Joe Miller's a moose. I mean, Joe looks like he goes about 6'1", 6'2", about at least 200 pounds. And obviously, Delran is scouting Fox and probably keying on him, so it's going to leave Miller's runs open.
The scary thing about both those gentlemen is that they are juniors. So this is not their final football game of their career. Fox and Miller will be back for another season here in Sterling. 2:40 remaining in the first. The Knights with a 7-0 lead. The pitch goes to number 9, Cliff Jones. Jones on a little sweep around the left side, picks up about 5.
Carries for Sterling.
They shifted into an eye left, pitched the ball to Jones, and he made a nice little cut and got himself actually about, I don't know, 4.5 yards, and it's going to be about second down and a long 5 or short 6. Really.
These two teams have played each other one other time before, and it was in the 1987 Group 2 Championship. The Bears beat Sterling on that day with another Saka quarterback, 20-0. Today so far it is Sterling and Miller right now running the football, and a first down deep into Bears territory at the Delran 30-yard line. Miller with a pickup of 17.
And I told you about his size. He just ran right through Ralph Saka and the other defensive back and carried them another 10 yards.
About the 30-yard line. First down, Sterling.
Okay, they break the huddle. Here's the replay. Hand it off to Miller. Goes right through. Saka's got him now, and he's just carrying him about 5 yards.
And a first down for the Knights at the Bear 30-yard line. Jones trying to get outside and caught before he could get past the line of scrimmage by Sean Theus.
Can't get wide. Hit by Sean Theus in the backfield.
We mentioned the fact that these two teams met in '87. Delran has never lost a postseason game. They come into this contest 7-0 in postseason play with 3 Group 2 titles, winning in '87, '89, and '90. As far as the Sterling Knights are concerned, they have 3 titles, but they all came in Group 3 in 1974, 76, and 77. They've qualified a total of 8 times, and they have an 8-2 playoff record, but they have never won a Group 2 championship.
Well, Bill Duff had to go off the field there for a repair to his helmet. That was the official timeout. And now they're trying to get this thing started. He's not ready to, now he's going to come back on. And I tell you, if I was Delran now, the way this game has been going, you got to put 8, 9 men right on the line of scrimmage to stop this run, because Sterling's showing no inclination to throw the ball at all, and you've got to stop this run.
Well, they haven't all season, and every team that's played them has known it, but knowing it and stopping it are 2 different things. They do a pretty good job there as Duff makes this stop on John Fox for a gain of only 1 yard. It'll be 3rd and 9.
And I'm not saying you can stop it, but what I'm saying is that you've got to almost abandon any defense for the pass and stick anybody up there in the run. Then if they throw, well, good luck.
Santana does have a pretty good arm, Ed. I mean, he's a very capable quarterback, but as you said, they don't use him to throw the ball very often. They like him to sprint out a little bit occasionally and just hand the ball off to those big horses. 3rd and 9, they do it again.
Oh, fumble!
Fumble on the play by Miller, and you're right. The Bears, I think, have recovered it. They do. First turnover of the contest. And it is taken away by Delran, so at least momentarily they stop the threat of the Sterling Silver Knights and get the ball back on their own 30-yard line.
Well, that's about as big as the turnover on the punt when the Delran went to their knee. Now they're in their own territory here, but they were going down to score again right there, and it's a huge turnover. There it is. Miller, they strip him, recover the ball.
Duff still having a problem with his helmet. You can see referee George Daniels stopping the clock there.
That was Martin Dunlap that recovered that fumble, number 83 for Delran.
And that's the end of the first quarter of play in the South Jersey Group 2 Championship. After the first 12 minutes, it's the Sterling Silver Knights 7, the Delran Bears nothing.
When it comes to hard work, even major leaguers don't let up. Neither should you. Give school a major league effort.
A message from the Philadelphia Phillies and its players for the New Jersey Education Association.
A 7-0 lead for the Silver Knights of Sterling over Delran after one quarter of play in this South Jersey Group 2 Championship. I'm Jack Hibbert along with Ed Foley for our final football game of the 1992 season. 1st and 10 for Delran after the turnover. Clinton Lott, who has had trouble getting started, doesn't get past the line of scrimmage once again.
Well, Jack, as you said earlier, what a defense the Sterling team had. They were absolutely stuffing this run, and that's why you saw earlier Delran going to the pass. Now, here's another opportunity to establish a running game. That just got blanketed. I'd have to tell you 4 or 5 people stopped that. So the defensive line, Lott is only 3 yards rushing, and that's in about 5 or 6 attempts. So great play by the Sterling front 4 and linebackers.
5 carries, as you mentioned, 4 yards for Lott, and they'll go back to the air. Saka looked like he had trouble with the field there momentarily. Now tries to throw it away, and again the big defensive play by Kevin Henry. He's made a couple of them this afternoon, and he knocks down another Ralph Saka pass.
Yeah, Ralph Saka, a little slow developing there. He went back, stopped, then rolled right, almost fell down. He had Lott on a little bit of a swing pass to the right side, but got it blocked there by Henry. And Jack, that's why you're seeing them throwing so much or uncharacteristically a lot, is because this running game is just getting stuffed by this Sterling defense.
Well, you think that this is a little change in what Delran has done all season long. Saka came in with only 73 attempts. That comes out to a little bit more than 10 throws a game. They've already put it up 7 times this afternoon. Here's 3rd and 10. Saka tries to get out of the pocket, and he is sacked.
And look who's there again. Our friend Henry was the first one through.
Well, along with big number 99, Ernest Stewart at 6 foot 300 pounds. He pushed his way through and really clogged up the middle. Saka went down in a hurry. On 4th down and 15, they'll have to punt.
Here's Saka back to throw. First one through is Henry. Then, as you said, and more people bring it in there and sack him. And if they don't get any pass protection, Jack, they're really going to be in trouble because they haven't been able to run the ball.
Timeout called by Delran with a little bit of confusion.
Now that's a very bad timeout there, because you know why? They're punting the ball. You don't want to use a timeout when you're punting the ball.
Well, obviously they had some confusion, and the thing that they didn't want to happen once again was to take a delay of game penalty. So this time they do avoid the extra yardage, and they call a timeout.
Hey, you know what can happen there, Jack? I'm not saying this exactly happened, but the individual who got hurt probably is on the punt. You got a second team back up there. Now all of a sudden it's the time to punt. They hadn't punted before. Someone forgot to go out. But I tell you, you don't want a timeout on a punt situation.
Well, I'm sure Pete Miles didn't want to use one there, but he did. There's Jim Gallagher, who's had quite a bit of success coaching in South Jersey. Came into the game with a record of 116, 83, and 6. Trying to bring home a championship to Sterling this afternoon. They lead it 7-0.
Oh, not a good punt.
Away, and it isn't a great punt, as you mentioned, Ed. And it will be fielded there by Bill Duff, but in Delran territory at the 47-yard line.
And that was off the side of his foot and really only went about 20 yards.
Silver Knight football.
Only 7-0, but boy, has Sterling enjoyed some great field position here this afternoon. They had one drive stall at the Delran 30-yard line and then put together a 21-yard scoring drive. That was it on their first possession. Joe Miller bounces off a block, but will not get away from the grasp of number 33, Tom Haas.
Runs into...
Well, right now, Delran has got to stop this running game any way they can, because if Sterling goes right down the field here and scores, it's a big deficit to overcome in the second half. Santana brings them out.
They'll split that eye and go more with a pro set, although they will put Jones in the slot to the right. Now he comes in motion, and they'll hand it to Cliff Jones, but he won't get away from big Bill Duff. That's a loss of 4 on the play.
Bill Duff absolutely whipped his man and got right into the backfield to stuff that play.
Loss of 5 on the play. Football inside the 50.
This will bring up a 3rd down and 13 and send Sterling back into their own territory at the 49-yard line.
I will see if Jim Gallagher is going to be real conservative here. This is a pure passing situation, 3rd and about 12 or 13. See if he puts it up here.
Jones again in the slot, straight I formation, a blitz for Delran, but they run away with it for Fox. Fox nearly broke about 4 tackles on the play. He did struggle forward for a pickup of about 6, but that'll be short of the first down. And Sterling will send the punt team out on the field.
4th and 7 at the Delran 45.
Okay, as we said there, Fox ran the ball very well. He broke a couple of tackles and gained about 6 yards from a play that looked like it was going to gain 1, but again, because of the running situation in their defense, they chose not to put it up and to run the ball.
Brian Prince will stand back on his own 40-yard line and get ready for the snap. It's a high one, but he's able to pick it up. No rush by Delran, a low kick. And Sterling will down this thing at about 10-yard line. That is only a net punt of about 30 yards, but it does the job because Delran will once again start in poor field position.
And Jack, they were lucky because they probably got another 10-yard roll on that. That punt was even worse than it ended up. So both punts, both from Delran and Sterling, very poor punts the last 2 times.
You see the score, 8-19 and counting down here till halftime. Sterling scoring after Delran had problems on a punt where the punter kneeled down at his own 21-yard line. The Knights took it in a couple of plays after that. That's our only score of the contest. Saka with trips left, and he goes down the field with a strong arm, but he overthrows that time Lamont Palmer, the flanker, and Saka takes the hit after he gets rid of the football.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Jack. Now, he had Jay Brooks sitting back there in the middle zone. He had deep, and he had that covered all the way, and it was even covered by the cornerback. So that was another seam pass that was very much covered and probably shouldn't have been thrown.
Saka only 2 of 8 to begin this contest, as the Bears have felt it necessary to abandon the running of Clinton Lott, at least temporarily, and turn to the aerial attack. So far, not with much success.
You got trips left here.
Single back is Lott. He goes out in the flat. They'll screen it out to him, and Saka simply overthrew him. He wouldn't have gotten very far on the play, I don't think, because out there covering was Brian Prince for Sterling.
Yeah, that wasn't disguised very well. If you're going to run a play like that, you got to send the people down the field and give a little bit of an indication that you're going to the right side before you go left. He just almost rolled a little bit to the left, and just everybody knows Lott's a great running back, so that was covered.
Pete Miles watching his team struggle a little bit here. Miles came into this game with just a 15-4 mark in his young coaching career. I say just, that I mean that by number of games, not success. He's been very successful at Delran. 3 receivers to the right side this time. They naked bootleg to the left. Saka pulls up, throws across the middle. It's picked off. Picked off by number 43 of Sterling, Robert Mann. And Mann stepped up and found nobody to even contest that, Ed. That was not a well-thrown ball by Ralph Saka.
Mann just was sitting there in the zone watching that all the way. He stepped right up in front of his man and picked it off. There it is. Saka rolling left. Going to throw right into the middle. Bob Mann just jumps right in there and picks that off. Now, this is another huge turnover. Ball's going to be on the 29-yard line of Delran.
Knights out of the eye with Fox in the slot. Cliff Jones has the football. There's a flag on the play. Jones is being chased in the backfield, trying to get away. He did a lot of running east and west and ended up losing a couple of yards. And it looks like we may have an illegal procedure call coming up against Sterling. Let's see.
Holding.
Oh, holding, you're right.
And that happened real fast, too, so.
That's why the flag came out so quick. I thought certainly we had motion or some kind of illegal procedure. But obviously there was a hold right off the snap of the football.
He's going to tell you someone held real fast.
They'll push the ball back, and that will really help Delran out because field position is what it's all about right now. As you take a look at George Daniels, our referee, with the official call.
Yeah, and again, it was a big turnover for Sterling, but this is really what hurts a running team is if you just run the ball, you're now sitting back there with about 1st and 20, so if you're not going to pass to pick it up, you need a couple of big runs.
They'll split the backs out of the eye. Jones comes in motion from his slot position. Big Joe Miller with the football, and Miller able to only pick up about 4 to the 36-yard line.
Joe Miller pulling forward.
See, if you want to run a conservative play here, even if you don't like the pass, you can really run a screen pass to either Fox or Miller. Probably preferably to Fox here, and somewhat of a safe pass, and you could actually break it. Well, let's
Miller's
see
got 52 yards rushing on just 5 carries this afternoon, so he's holding up his end of the deal. He's the leading ball carrier this afternoon. Came in averaging over 7. They'll give it to Fox. He slices through the middle of the line, and John Fox is back inside the original line of scrimmage, but it'll bring up 3rd down and long as he's able to get the ball only to the 27-yard line.
Yeah, it's going to be 3rd down at about 10, maybe 9.5. Santana gets the play from Coach Gallagher. And the only thing is you are in 4-down territory here, so he can run twice here on 3rd and 4th. You're going to be too close to punt, and I'm pretty long for a field goal. So Santana brings them out.
I don't think too many people are going to want to kick a field goal in the kind of win that they've got down there today either. Both teams have capable kickers. Little misdirection play with Fox coming inside on the trap, and John Fox is inside the 20-yard line and very close to a 1st down.
Well, he came in motion, took the inside snap, took trap play, and he's a little bit shaken up in that play. You can see the end of that run. Fox was kind of bending over. I think he's okay, but I get a strain on his leg.
Well, they most certainly, if they didn't pick up the first, will go for it because they'll be just inches shy.
They have
and it looks like Fox has got it. Boy, how's that for overcoming adversity? They were looking at a 1st down and 20 and end up in 3 plays being able to pick up those 20 yards and have the 1st down inside the 20.
Well, I got to watch what I say because talking to, as an old quarterback, who likes to throw the ball, I'm telling Coach Gallagher he can't make that 2-down. Gallagher makes that in 3 runs, and that last run picks up about 9.
We'll go back to that power eye formation with Jones. Now they split out of that and put Fox and Miller up front. The misdirection, the quick give inside to Joe Miller.
I'll tell you what, that play's tough to stop. Joe Miller's got to be, I can't tell, he looks like he's about 220 pounds. And taking that ball up the middle with the blocking that line's providing, it's good for 4 or 5 yards most of the time. The only mistake he made was on that fumble.
Miller listed at 6'1", 205.
Yeah, he looks like a big 205 from here, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he's all of that. And running impressively again today. Seems to save his best for Garden State Cable Channel 2. Straight eye formation this time. 2nd and 4. Santana with a little delay give to Fox. He slices through, and Fox is again going to be close to the 1st down as he gets inside the 10-yard line. Needed to get to the 9.
Sean Thies and Ralph Saka combined on the tackle.
Yeah, that's what's so scary, as you said before, Jack. They're all juniors. You're talking about Miller and Fox. I mean, coming back again next year, they're going to be a terror of this conference.
Now, they won the Colonial Conference last week for the first time since 1985, trying to bring home a championship now in Group 2.
Miller gets it. It's a great play there. It looks like it's Duff again. Duff got through that line in about a half a second.
Yeah, that play can be confusing. What it's supposed to do is loosen up your linebackers defensively. They sent both Fox and number 43, Robert Mann, in motion to the left side, and then they quickly just give it to the fullback straight up the gut.
Now that
And
play,
most of the time it's been successful.
Well, that play would work even more, but you'd get that, Bill Duff was a tremendous player. He's just beating his man getting in the backfield.
And they get it again. And again, Ed, this is very typical of Sterling football all season long. Nothing fancy, nothing flashy, just plain gutted out football, smash mouth up the gut. And as you can see, it's effective. It may take you some time, 3 or 4 downs, but you can know how to pick up the first downs in this type of offense.
Yeah, Sterling has 6 first downs. Running situation again, Santana.
First and goal, it's Fox slicing inside the 5-yard line, still on his feet. John Fox still not down and finally tackled at the 2.
Now that's power there. He dragged about 5 guys with him that time and refused to go down.
John Fox.
Boy, John Fox making the most out of his 5'10", 187-pound frame. He must have carried 2 or 3 white and gold players on his back.
Now, Jack, this is really big. If Sterling goes in here and scores, that's a big deficit to overcome. Now, someone's calling timeout on Delran.
Their second of the first half, and the clock will stop with 2:59 to play. It's Sterling 7, Delran nothing.
Uncomfortable pressure or pain in your chest lasting more than a few minutes with lightheadedness, sweating, or shortness of breath may mean a heart attack. Don't wait. Call your emergency medical service. You can help prevent heart disease. We can tell you how.
Who wrote the book of law? Tell me.
Actually, you wrote the book on growing up. What they're going through only looks different from what you went through, and there's a lot you can share with them. So before your kids make important decisions, like smoking, talk to them. Help them decide not to smoke.
Everybody needs help talking to their kids sometimes. Call for your free booklet on how parents can talk to their teenagers about smoking and other tough issues. The Family Course Consortium believes smoking shouldn't be a part of growing up.
Well, it's 7-0 Delran. Sterling, but Delran in trouble as Sterling is threatening here on 2nd and goal from the 3-yard line. From the power eye, they'll give it to John Fox, and Fox near the goal line and stopped just short on a great defensive play by Sean Theus.
Very close to a touchdown. Dave Forcell, Sean Theus on the stop.
He's on the 1-inch line right now. Someone's hurt out there.
3rd and goal.
A Sterling player down now, right at about the 2-yard line, and he is not moving. Clock will stop with 2:42 to play. We've already had one player taken to the hospital this afternoon. That was Todd Pistone of Delran.
I think he just got dinged because they just asked him to move his legs and everything, and I think he's stunned a little bit.
Well, we mentioned that Sterling won the Colonial Conference for the first time since '85. They did that with a very convincing 34-0 win over Collingswood on Thanksgiving, and that was some feat after coming back from a draining double overtime win in the first round of these playoffs, and then having to go against Collingswood for the conference championship. They weren't flat at all. 34 points on the board. They had both Fox and Miller over 100 yards in that game, and they won it with a big exclamation point, and they're trying to do that here again this afternoon. They have used only a 21-yard offensive drive in their first scoring this afternoon, and they began this drive at the 29, although they had to overcome a holding penalty. And yes, folks, it is cold. You don't have to look around very far in this stadium this afternoon, which is just about filled to capacity, to know that people are bundled up and trying to stay warm.
Yeah, Jack, one thing is tending to that injured player down here, we still can't get a number, but situation here, as I started to bring out, Sterling goes in and scores here, kicks the extra point. It's either, talking 14-0. The second quarter is almost over. It's 2:42 left. Then Sterling's going to receive for the third quarter. And you put together a drive then. I don't want to make things too bleak for Delran, but it's also very difficult to try to come back and throw the ball today.
We're told that the injured player is Punce Tinkham. And everybody waiting for Tinkham to get up and return to action here. Meanwhile, the drive has stalled, and we will take a break. With 2:42 remaining here till halftime, the Silver Knights are threatening, and right now they hold a 7-0 lead.
The town I live in is so small. Most people don't really even think about HIV or AIDS. But my old boyfriend had it, and now, so do I. You know, I found out that AIDS is increasing in small towns. I think it's because people here just don't think it can happen to them.
Find out how you can prevent HIV. In front of a class at Edison High School, Boris Yeltsin stood up and changed the course of communism. Magic Johnson gave some tips to Maryville High's basketball team. And Rudolf Nureyev staged the Nutcracker at Lewis F. Cole Middle School. By donating cable service and commercial-free programming to schools across the country, local cable companies like yours are helping teachers show that great things can come to those who dare to dream.
After the injury timeout, they give it to Fox, and he's stopped in the backfield. Another great defensive play by Delran, led there by number 83, Martin Dunlap.
He lost about a half a yard on that play. They were almost inches to go. And now this becomes huge right here.
It'll be 4th down and goal.
Looks like he's going for a field goal.
Yeah, they're sending the kicking tee out there. This will be only about a 20-yarder, so it's almost, in fact, it is almost identical to an extra point.
And yet it's not automatic with this kind of condition, so let's see.
And a timeout is called, so I'll tell you what, Ed, they were not lining up in a kicking formation, although it does look like the kicker is now in the backfield and the tee is down. Number 91, Dave Pearson, does the extra point attempts. And he has now put the tee. They had to burn a timeout, and the clock stops with 1:53. If anything, we've had plenty of stoppages of play here this afternoon. And maybe, Ed, maybe they're going to talk about whether they're going to kick a field goal or not. They are 2 yards away. They had a chance, Ed, by the way, to kick a field goal in the second overtime against Buna in the first round of this playoff. And Jim Gallagher let his team decide what to do. They wanted to go for it on 4th and 1. 4th and goal from about, I guess it was more like the 2-yard line. And, of course, the story is that they ended up getting the touchdown and going on to hold defensively and win 14-7.
Well, the key becomes, obviously, I mean, you get a field goal here and you're 10-0. That's still big. But if you miss the field goal, you're in big trouble.
Wind blowing very, very strong from left to right. Here is the field goal. The 19-yard attempt is up, and it is good. That wind did push it to the right, but they only had 19 yards to kick it, and they put 3 more points on the board. 1:49 remaining here till halftime. The siren sounds again, and the Sterling Knights are up by a score of 10-0.
And, Jack, that's still big because preferably you wanted to get a touchdown here. It's a good moral victory there for Delran, and it's stopping them there. But Delran's got to figure out how to get some offense going the rest of this game.
Well, I think particularly since you gave him the ball at the 29-yard line, this is probably, as you said, a little bit of a moral victory to not give up the 7 and only the 3. And remember, hey, Delran is no stranger to being down in the playoffs. They were down 19-0 in the opening round of this Group 2 playoff against Hamilton at halftime, and they stormed back to win 23-19. Of course, the question is, how many times can you do that and overcome it?
Well, so far, Jack, Sterling has a total of 102 yards of offense. Delran has only 35 yards of offense, and the majority of those have been in the air, almost nothing on the ground.
Well, this was much like that first round, though. Clinton Lott had great difficulty running in the first half against Hamilton, and then came out and put on a show. 124 yards in the second half in their first playoff game this year, and went on to, as we said, of course, win that ball game 23-19. So they have not had much success on the ground. Lott, who rushed for 1,200 yards this year, has only 3 yards in 5 carries. They'll get the ball again, and I'm sure try to run one back since time is of the essence. They do get a pretty good return and will start in one of their better field positions all afternoon across the 35 to the 36-yard line with 1:42 left till halftime.
Occasionally, Delran's got to go into their 2-minute offense right now, and they're going to have to mainly pass on this down and maybe interspice a few runs with that.
Saka still just 2 of 8 with 1 interception, make it 2 of 9, and the 1 interception. You're right. I would imagine they'll probably throw on this possession down 10-0. The left-hander comes across the middle and he throws it too low that time for number 21, Rich Brandon. He used only a few seconds, 1:22 remaining now. Not a good start for Ralph Saka, just 2 of 10 for 35 yards and all offensive yardage, of course, really coming through the air.
Well, it's been tough, but in defense of Saka, I mean, these conditions are really tough out there.
They'll throw it up again. This time he'll go longer, trying to get his receiver, number 17, Joe Olivia, who has a catch here this afternoon, to run under that thing. But there was good coverage on the play back there by Jay Brook and Derek Hardware of Sterling.
Yeah, they're going to take another maybe 2 shots here, or at least 1 here. And I think my suggestion would be in some of these pass plays, you're going to have to make them something that's easy to throw, such as screens, backs out of the backfield, because conditions are really tough, and Sterling's just dropping back in their zone.
Backs in the eye for the Bears, receivers left and right. Saka again, this time looking to his right, now coming across the middle and overthrowing his receiver. Either that or the pattern was misrun by number 21, Rich Brandon. But in any case, that ball was 5 or 8 yards away from any Delran player, and the Bears will be forced to punt.
Okay, so they didn't take much time off the clock, but they also didn't pick up any yardage at all, and actually Sterling's going to get the ball back and probably just run out this first half.
Only 30 seconds went by in that entire offensive possession for the Bears.
Not a bad spot here to rush the punter. You know, not much time left for Delran if he could block a punt here. Let's see if they're going to rush on.
Especially with a 10-0 lead. They did put a little bit of pressure on. Decent punt. It'll bounce away from Sterling, and Delran will down this thing back at the 26-yard line of the Silver Knights.
Well, that was not a good play by Derek Hardware, because he was back there considering to catch that ball. It almost hit him, and he still stayed pretty close to it. And in that situation, you got to catch the ball or totally get out of the way. Those are some of the coach's nightmares when people are hanging around those punts.
Yeah, and if you're Sterling, you certainly do not want that kind of mistake deep in your own end with it left. I'll be surprised if the Knights try anything fancy, although they could afford to do so with a 10-0 lead, but I don't think that's Gallagher's style. I think he'll be happy to go into the locker room right where they stand. They keep it on the ground, do Miller, and Miller stopped right at the line of scrimmage, and the clock will continue to run. Under 35 seconds to play now till halftime.
Now he's going to run it out, and rightfully so. He's got a 10-point lead. You get it in your own territory. You want no mistakes. Go into the halftime, and you're going to receive the ball the start of the third quarter. So Sterling in very good shape right here in this game.
They will not have to run a play off, as the officials signal when at 24 seconds. And remember, you have 25 seconds to run off a play. And so the teams will walk off the field here at halftime with the Sterling Silver Knights holding a 10-0 advantage here in the South Jersey Group 2 Championship. We'll be back with first half statistics and more football action coming up for you in just a moment.
Hey, Sixers fans, give it up. It's time to root for a new team, a brand new 76ers team with new coach Doug Moe, new players like Jeff Hornacek, Tim Perry, and Clarence Weatherspoon, and a new faster-than-sight style of game. The new Sixers will make you feel like a new fan, and every new fan needs Prism. Prism has the exciting new Sixers in 60 exclusive games. More games than any other channel on TV. So if you want to see the new team play, you need Prism. Don't miss a minute of the action. Call your cable company and order Prism today.
From a boy to a man.
You're making more money than the president.
Here's to you, fellas. Let's have a hell of a season.
There was only one.
You're out!
He ain't human, he's an animal. He's a god.
John Goodman.
Are you Santa Claus?
Well, no, kiddo. I'm Babe Ruth.
The Babe. Rated PG.
There's something about it.
Wake the dead!
Something strange and startling.
Have no fear.
Something surprising and sweetly romantic.
A little girl who can make grown men cry.
Something astounding.
This is the largest oil spill ever recorded in U.S. waters.
Something astonishing. Something wild. HBO in December. There's nothing else like it. So call now to get it, because it could only happen here.
Just about ready for the second half of the South Jersey Group 2 Championship. Welcome back to Sterling High School. I'm Jack Kibbert along with Ed Foley, where the Sterling Silver Knights hold a 10 advantage as we get ready to start the second half of play. Ed, here's a look at the halftime statistics.
Okay, well, as we explained the problem, Delran only 2 first downs, no yards rushing, 35 yards passing. That's all their yardage, 2 out of 12 for Ralph Saka. Sterling did not pass the ball. They have 6 first downs, all rushing, 102 yards rushing, no passes, and one penalty for 10 yards for Sterling, 1 penalty for 5 yards for Delran. And a couple of those big turnovers, or the biggest one was the dropped punt when the Delran punter went to one knee, and from there Sterling went right in and scored that first touchdown.
Well, we talked about the fact that Delran has not been able to run the football, but Ed, they've only attempted to run the ball 8 times. And my question, I guess, to you would be, is that a fair assessment of whether or not you can get a running game going?
Well, it's not, but I'll tell you the truth. You're playing in a game of this magnitude, and granted, the conditions are not good. But they tried to run on those first 2 series and get absolutely nothing.
Well, on the optimistic side of things, if you are Coach Pete Miles from Delran, I'm sure at halftime you're telling your team, hey, in the last playoff game, we were in worse shape than this when we actually were down 19-0 at halftime. And we still won the football game. Of course, in that game, I think Hamilton turned the ball over 4 times in the second half. I don't think you're going to see Sterling do this. Remember, Sterling deferred the choice. That doesn't mean they get the ball. That means they'll take the choice. Their choice is to kick off to start this second half. That shows you what Coach Gallagher thinks about his defense. It's fielded by Rich Brandon, and Brandon is swarmed at the 27-yard line. That's where Delran will start 1st and 10. Now, if you're the Bears, Ed, you got to try to come out and shove this thing in the end zone and show Coach Gallagher that he made a mistake. But remember, we're now up to 22 quarters without Sterling giving up a touchdown.
Oh, that's right. And again, it is the choice for the second half. Normally that choice would be to take the ball, but with these conditions and with Coach Gallagher's defense, they're choosing to go with the defense again.
Bears 1st and 10 on their own 27-yard line. They'll give it to Clinton Lott. Lott is met by Barikian, who shoves him back past the line of scrimmage. And again, Clinton Lott came into this half with only 3 yards on 5 carries. He loses a yard there.
Well, again, the only thing he had a shot at that time was kicking that to the outside and trying to make something happen. But I tell you what, this game is being won so far totally on the line of scrimmage. The defensive and offensive lines of Sterling are just flat out beating Delran's line and linebackers. So it's being won in the trenches right now.
I mentioned that he lost a yard. They put it back now at the original line of scrimmage, so no gain. They'll keep it on the ground again. This time, they do get loose a little bit that time. Dave Purcell takes a big hit after his forward progress had been stopped for a pickup of about 5.
He's got to give him, let's see, he's got to give him forward progress here. That ball's got to go up to the 35-yard line. But, Jack, yeah, one point that you noted, and there's a condition there. They got stuffed in 1st down. Rather than just throw, they ran and picked up 5. Now, again, you're in middle range down. You've got to throw the ball here or do something here to gain 4 or 5 on the run.
They'll stay in the power I formation, which they have not shown much here this afternoon. That would make you think they're going to run. They give it to Lott. He tries to use his speed to get outside. He cannot do it. The pursuit of the linebacking core of Sterling has been outstanding all day long, and they did it again there, Ed.
Well, then Coach Gallagher wins his choice again, because now again, by electing to go with his defense, he stopped Delran, and he's getting the ball back.
On the positive side of things, it's got to feel good even to see Lott pick up 2 yards. That's his longest carry of the day. And maybe Delran hasn't forgot about their running game after all. They ran 3 in a row and were able to pick up 9, but come up a yard short.
They need a good punt here. They got to get a good punt.
This time the snap's pretty good. The punt's not bad either. Fair catch signaled for at the 36-yard line. Well, I said it wasn't bad, but it ends up being only about a 24-yard punt. And that's not really into the wind. The wind is coming across the field, but
well, again, the decision by Coach Gallagher becomes a good one, because instead of getting pinned down in his own territory from a real good punt, he's got the ball back. He's got the 10-0 lead, and the conditions are still not good, and he's got a great defense and a great running offense.
And hey, chances are you wouldn't have been able to return the kick here, so you start out in better field position. Here's the misdirection play.
Flag's going to go against Sterling here, so they're going to come back.
That was Fox out of the slot in a trap play, but you're right. A penalty will be called against the Silver Knights here for illegal motion. Maybe Fox moved a little bit too quickly. That'll push it back 5 yards and bring up 1st and 15.
Coach Gallagher is talking right now to his quarterback, and he's not too happy because of that motion penalty. So it looks like that ball was either called for improperly or whatever, which caused the motion. It's George Daniels. He's been around a lot of years.
Fox has now carried 18 times for 50 yards. 1st and 15.
Santana to Miller, big hole.
Right up for Miller and across the 40-yard line to the 43. He gets penalty yardage plus about 4 or 5 more.
10-yard gain will be 2nd down and 5.
Okay, and again, a big gain there, and they were looking at about a 1st down and 15, so picks up about 10 yards in the play, 2nd down and 5.
Miller, the fullback, now leading ground gainer with 62. Here comes the Delran defense up on tight on the line of scrimmage, and a nice play there by number 83, Martin Dunlap. He stops Fox right at the line of scrimmage for no gain.
Okay, 3rd down and maybe a little bit less than 5, maybe 4, 4.5.
3rd down and 4.
They do spot Fox's progress forward for a yard, so as you mentioned, 3rd and 4. 10-0 Sterling. They've got the football. 8:10 remaining here in the 3rd quarter of the Group 2 championship. Backs in the eye. There is a man in the slot. They'll give it to Miller, and he's stuffed right at the line of scrimmage by Bill Duff.
Bill Duff again. Well, this kid's just a tremendous player. We don't get certain replays, we don't see this exactly when it's happening, but he's got to be flat out whipping his man on the line of scrimmage and getting in the backfield to stuff these plays that quickly. Here it is here. Oh, he's right in there, yeah, going right through his man in the backfield.
Really was not touched up front at all as he fought off the block from the offensive lineman and went right in. Sterling will punt. And it goes away from Lamont Palmer, and this will turn out to be a fine punt for Sterling as it stopped dead inside the 10-yard line at the 6.
Oh, that's a tremendous punt there. It's going to put him, as you said, inside the 10, and this struggle is going to be uphill. Jack, you got to remember, since this 3rd quarter started, each team has run the ball every single time. The time just flies by when you're doing that.
56-yard punt for Prince and Sterling, and the Bears, as they have been much of the afternoon, deep in their own end with a 1st down at the 6. They'll keep it on the ground. Lott trying to work his way up the line of scrimmage and nearly broke out of the pack. Was able to pick up about 5 as he gets it across the 10-yard line.
That's a tremendous late drive by Lott.
Clinton Lott came in 4th in all of South Jersey in scoring with 18 touchdowns and 118 points. And as we mentioned, came in with 1,127 yards on the season.
They got to get him outside somehow to use his speed and ability.
2nd and 5. They keep it inside.
Nothing.
Purcell is just swarmed by about 4 blue shirts right at the line of scrimmage. No pickup.
And again, you got to be somewhat conservative here because you're inside, you were inside your 10-yard line, and now faced with a 3rd and about 5.
Nice defensive call that time by Sterling as Jay Brook, the safety, came up for Jim Gallagher to make the stop. So it'll be 3rd and 5. Single back. And it's Saka trying to get the ball out to number 21, Rich Brandon, but again, he overthrows the target. The tough afternoon continues for Ralph Saka, just 2 of 13 now with an interception. And Delran will have to punt in the shadow of their own goalposts.
Now, here's a situation here again where we mentioned punting in the kicking game, but if they don't get a good punt out here, in this situation, that Sterling's going to have the ball probably inside Delran's 40-yard line or better.
Rich Pierce standing 5 yards deep in his end zone. Here comes Sterling trying to block it, and I don't know if they got a piece of it. They did get the punter, and I think that the Bears are going to come out of this smelling like a rose because it did not appear that Sterling got the ball, but they did rough the punter, and that'll give Delran a 1st down.
And they definitely were not blocked into the punter. It was both players coming from each end hitting the punter. And that's when, again, here we go, from both sides, boop. He's hit.
Roughing the kicker penalty against Sterling. Will be an automatic 1st down.
Devin Carter, one of the guys that was all over Rich Pierce. Boy, this is a break for Delran.
Yeah, what's dangerous about that is when you do it, if you're rough, the other team gets the ball back. They would have had great field position.
Saka will throw on 1st down, trying to get it out to Brandon, and again he overthrows the receiver. Out of bounds, and the clock will stop at 5:23 to play here in the 3rd. 2nd and 10 from their own 25. Well, even, Ed, if Delran has to punt after a couple of more downs here, as you mentioned, it's still a big break because Sterling would have gotten the ball back somewhere around the 40, maybe 35.
Yeah, a little surprised in that situation. You rush the punter because if you put a return on, you're going to get the ball well inside your 50 because you've known the punter's already punted poor a few times.
Yeah, even without any return of yardage. I mean, just go back and field the punt, and you're in good shape. Saka again to the air. Over the middle, he's got a receiver this time. Opening number 17, Joe Olivio. He gets to the outside and is knocked out of bounds at midfield, but the Bears are out of their own deep territory moving the football. Boy, that time, Ed, Saka stepped up and threw a strike.
Yeah, he threw that ball very well. Sat right in there and delivered on the money. And as we say, here it is.
You know,
right on the money.
You know, Ed, I'm with you. I think that a lot of the passes that Saka's trying to throw today have been touch passes or try to be pinpoint passes. I'm not sure you can do it on a day like today. Here's a delay give. Clinton Lott has the football, breaks outside. Lott's got tremendous speed, but catching up to him that time was Bob Shelley, and it's a good thing that he did because it looked like Lott was about ready to break loose.
Well, now their offense is opening up a little bit. Mixture of some running plays and some nice passes, and it's going to be key because it's going to be important for them to get down the field and score a touchdown here.
Well, Ed, when you've thrown the ball as many times as Delran has here this afternoon, the draw play certainly would seem to be an excellent call, and it worked there. 2nd down along 3.5. They'll keep it on the ground again for Sell. The fullback gets outside, gets the 1st down as he takes the ball down to the 37-yard line.
Well, they're opening things up right now, and they're looking good. He's hurt in the play. He's limping off. He's staying in the game. 1st down, Delran. That's 3 in a row.
By the way, we were told at halftime that the injured player, Todd Fistone, who was taken to the hospital, was being x-rayed. So we don't have any further information about that for you. 37-yard line. Official timeout called. One of the Sterling players out of your picture has an equipment problem. Now they'll restart it, and Delran will come to the line of scrimmage with a first down. Down 10-0 are the Bears. Remember, Delran has never lost a playoff game. Saka. Lots of time across the middle again. Had a receiver that time, but it went in and out of the hands of Rich Brandon. Brandon's had a lot of balls overthrown and balls that he couldn't catch today, Ed, but that's one he should have gathered in.
Well, that was right on the money, and he should have had that play. It was a good throw there by Saka. Another second down and 10 here. They got to figure out ways to get Lott outside.
They'll go with the single back in Forsell. Lott isn't even in the offensive set right now. There he is. You're right. I thought it was Forsell in the backfield. It's Clinton Lott. Lott inside the 30-yard line. And again, short of the first down, but it looks like Clinton Lott, Ed, is starting to heat up a little bit.
Well, things are opening up, and the blocking's a little bit better now in the second half. And now between the runs and interspersed passes in here, you're finally seeing some good offense from Delran.
At the 31-yard line. Third down and about 4 now. They'll go with the straight I formation. Forsell the fullback, Lott the tailback, 2 receivers to the left. They give it to Clinton Lott. Lott struggles to get near the first down. I believe he's going to be a little bit short. Clinton Lott on the carry. But certainly they are in 4-down territory here. You don't think about kicking a field goal. You're talking about a 47-yarder from this point.
I think you're going to look back in this game. It's what's going to be a key here, especially if Delran starts scoring, is trying to block that punt and roughing inside the 5-yard line. Right now looms very big.
Well, so far it's been a big turnaround. Let's see if the Sterling defense can stand tall. I think they tried to sneak the football that time with Saka running it, and I believe he may have the first down. At least Delran believes they've got it. And I think with the spot of the football, they do. Needed to get it to the 27-yard line. And I believe it's there.
They're going to measure.
It's going to be close. It's going to be close. So they'll stop the clock with 2:40 left.
I say he's got it.
Well, let's see if you still have those eagle eyes, Mr. Foley. Boy, I tell you what, that's not bad. And not bad coverage either, as you saw it at home. Just enough for the first down, and I mean just enough. And the drive continues.
It's still going to be key to mix the passes in with the runs in this drive, because they've shown to be early in the game they can't just run at Sterling, but they got to mix the pass with the run.
First and 10 for the Bears. 2 receivers to the left. Backs in an eye. They'll give it to Lott. He looks for a hole. He's got a hole and gets down to the 21-yard line. And Clinton Lott running with effectiveness here in the second half. The young man who came into the second half with only 3 yards on 5 carries now has 32 yards rushing. Second down and 4. Practically all on this drive.
They're doing a little bit of that counter tray action and getting it trapping and getting people out in front of them here. It's been helpful.
Second and 4. Again, backs in the eye. This time they split the receivers left and right. Quick give to the fullback Forsell, and Forsell is tripped up immediately there by Devin Carter.
That's a very good play by Carter. He stuffed that play right up. They tried to sneak one into the fullback and hope they would fool Sterling, but they were there.
Delran has already converted a late down in the drive. Of course, this whole thing started after the punter was roughed in the end zone. They converted a 4th down. This is the 3rd down now and a long 3. Double receivers to the left. They'll give it to Lott. Lott gets hit at the line of scrimmage and will be short of the first down.
He doesn't have it, I don't believe.
McCulligan got just a piece of him, Ed, as he was right at the line of scrimmage. Lott brazed off of that but it was enough to slow him down. He picked up only about 1.5 yards of the 3 that he needed. It'll be 4th and about 1.5 yards, and another big 4th down play coming up here for Delran and for this Sterling defense.
This is probably going to be the last play of the third quarter as we wind down, 37 seconds to go.
And a big, big play in your ball game. 4th and a long one. They'll give it to the horse. Lott, I believe he has got the first down. Great effort by Clinton Lott as he spun. And I believe once again he'll have just enough for the first. We're going to measure it one more time. Well, you called the last one. What do you think, Ed?
Boy, I tell you, I think he's got it, but I tell you that this is huge because if he doesn't have it here, it's a big situation for Sterling. Looks like he's got it again. He got that by a lot.
Yeah, he got that by more than he got the last one. That actually had daylight between the football and the chain. So the drive continues.
Hey, Lott got that by a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, we caught it the first time, Ed. 17 seconds remaining here in the third quarter, and Delran impressively moving the football here, down 10-0, but threatening. Saka, 2-step drop, quick throw to the corner. Brandon's got it.
Got it for a
touchdown. Rich Brandon with a great juggling act catch, and Delran is on the board.
Well, that's just that fade pattern that you just send your man straight to the sideline.
Brandon will be the holder for Ron Vandermark, who will attempt the extra point with only 1 second remaining on the clock here in the third quarter.
I don't get it. Sterling just called a timeout there, according to the referee. Why would they call a timeout here? And obviously they were going to shift over.
Take a look at this touch pass by Saka, who's been off the mark at times today, but really made this one count, Ed.
Okay, 2-step drop back, throws it right out to the right here. Brandon leaps up, catches it, and brings it down as he's falling.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that was very close, and it was tipped defensively. And I'm not so sure that the defensive player didn't fall on top of the and Brandon at the same time, which may have helped him gather that ball in. Either way, Delran has 6 up, and they'll attempt to get this game within 3.
Well, that was huge. Both of those 4th down plays were huge, and Delran made them, and then they throw the touchdown pass here. And again, you're not going to second guess at this stage. You don't know the outcome is going to come, but boy, blocking that punt back there and roughing was absolutely huge, because if they had put a return on there, they'd have had the ball inside.
Look at this, 2-point fake. Brandon's got the football, and he throws an interception. Now, this can be run back, or no, it cannot be in high school. There was that rule for a while in college where you could run it back the other way and pick up points. It does not count now, and it'll just count as a failed extra point attempt. How about that? Little trickery put on by Pete Miles, but Sterling hung in there and covered it pretty well. But the Delran Bears are on the board. 1 second remaining here in the third quarter. It's 10-6. The Sterling Knights hanging on to the lead.
Well, trickery was fine, but when the halfback there threw the pass, he threw it right to the Sterling player. I mean, he had to throw it over his head, so a very poor pass there.
Yeah, you're right, Ed. He actually had a player behind in the end zone, but he wasn't able to complete the play.
Okay, here he is here. Stands up early, fakes, lobs it right to the Sterling player.
Yeah, Brandon made a great catch for the touchdown, but that was a pretty ugly looking throw.
You know what he did wrong too? When you're going to fake it there, they allow you to be on your knee, catch the ball, and then roll. He got up way early in that fake.
Well, the Bears, though, used a mistake by Sterling to get on the board. Boy, this has got to be reminiscent to Delran fans of last playoff game when they were down 19-0 and used turnovers to get back in. They used a roughing the kicker call here to put 6 on the board. They actually drove the ball 70 yards after that penalty. Line drive kick. Fielded back there by number 10, David Santana, the quarterback. Remember, Santana returned one for a touchdown in the game that we saw as a return man. That time he gets it out to the 40. That's the end of the third quarter of play with the score. The Sterling Silver Knights 10 The Delran Bears 6 with 12 minutes to go in the South Jersey Group 2 Championship.
When I stand on top of a mountain, just for 1 second, I feel the truth of my life. My God, we're going to K2. Welcome to the death zone.
K2, the ultimate high. Rated R.
December on Garden State Cable's first run service.
Diane Wilkins, teacher, blood type A positive. A regular blood donor at the Cherry Hill Red Cross Center, she also donates blood for cancer patients. On March 10, 1992, a 70-year-old grandfather with leukemia was wheeled into the West Jersey Hospital in Berlin. He required an immediate platelet transfusion. The platelets were there. That day, Diane Wilkins became a hero. Be the type to save a life. Give blood.
The last quarter of football for both these teams in 1992 as we enter the fourth. Sterling with the football and a 4-point lead at 10-6. I'm Jack Hibbert along with Ed Foley. Glad to be bringing you this Group 2 championship football game. Here's John Fox for Sterling with the carry, and Fox stopped after a gain of only a yard, and once again Bill Duff, number 77, in to make the hit.
Yeah, Bill Duff is dominating this game on defense. They better run away from him because anytime they go near that right side, Duff's coming right through.
Duff is a Burlington County Patriot Division first team All-Star. You can see why. Some of the defensive players looking a little winded, as you saw in your shot there for Sterling. Here's the pitch outside to Fox. He's got blocking ahead of him. Good pursuit by Delran, though, and Fox is only able to get about 2 on the carry across the 45 to the 46.
Now he's going to have a third down in about 5, maybe a little bit less than 5. And again, big play coming up for Delran, because if they can hold him, get them to punt, they're going to have some time, you know, beginning of this fourth quarter to get on the score.
From the starting 36-yard line.
Good defense by Delran on that last play. Sterling had a host of blue shirts out in front of John Fox, but the Bears strung it out nicely. 3rd and 5. Santana's not thrown the ball yet today. He'll run on the option with it, and he'll be caught from behind. There's a flag on the play, so we'll wait to see about that. Santana loses about 3 on the carry, but hold on about the flag.
I think the flag's against Delran, and I think they'll just decline it.
You mean against Sterling, and Delran would decline and take the punt, and it is going to go against Sterling.
Motion against Sterling. The penalty is declined.
You can hear the public address announcer on shore indicate that it was a legal motion, so the Sterling Silver Knights will punt it once again. And Delran will get the ball back with lots of time and down by only.
Here's where they need Jeff Fiegel, who's punting one about 60 yards, you know.
Instead, it'll be Brian Prince who punts it about 20. And the Bears will take over on their own 34-yard line. So they'll start in good field position.
Another statistic here is that Sterling has only had 16 yards, you know, and none in that last quarter.
16 yards in this second half. That's it after a fine first half. But remember, though, their scoring drives had only accounted for a total of about 50 yards. They took one in on their opening possession from 21 yards and then had the field goal off a 29-yard drive. That's it. Pitch outside to Lott. Lott across the 35 to about the 37, a pickup of 4.
Yeah, good first down pickup. Lott looks good when he get him outside of those plays. Said that earlier. We don't want to be running him in between tackles too much. Try to get him to the outside.
You have to wonder, by watching the game plan here in the second half, Ed, if the coaching staff of Delran felt that maybe they panicked a little bit too early, because they've done a fine job here in the second half of mixing both the pass and the run, where in the first half they completely abandoned the run very early on and went strictly to the pass and were not successful. 2nd and 4. Saka will throw this time. And he will throw, but not find a receiver, as he was looking that time again for Joe Olivio.
Well, Olivo hooked up that pattern and kind of stopped and even stumbled, and then the defenders even fell down. So even the footing out there looked very poor.
Robert Mann had the coverage on Olivo.
I'll give you a play right here, Jack, that would work. I'd go screen pass right to Lott.
That would be to the weak side of the offense, as they've got the power going left side. Receivers split left and right, backs in the eye. Left-handed soccer fakes the screen, now comes back the other way to Forsell. Forsell is hit immediately by Ron Vandermark. The defensive back came up and made the big hit and will stop Delran short, and Forsell is hurt at the 37-yard line.
I'll tell you, Derek Hardware really came up nice in that play, too. He was forcing it.
It was Hardware, number 12, who made the big hit for Sterling. Forsell for Delran is hurt across the field right on their sideline after taking that big hit by Hardware.
Well, it wasn't a bad idea there. They had a double screen. They faked the screen on the one here to Lott, and they threw it to Forsell. I still would rather go to Lott on that play, just figure his ability out in the open field.
Forsell now is up as you take a look at the Sterling fans.
Well, the thing is, they have to punt here. I mean, there's still plenty of time in the game, and with a 4th down and 4, you'd be risking it if you didn't make it here, you know?
So they'll try the punt again. Again, pressure by by Sterling, and they nearly got the punter again.
It's hard to believe they didn't block that.
Oh,
both
either block it or hit the punter. Once again, both guys that roughed the punter last time were in a hurry. Delran better figure out a way to stop that pressure before they get one popped here, but I guess it doesn't make any difference when you only get about a 15 or 20-yard punt. Sterling will take over on their own 40-yard line. Seems like right now we're playing between the 40s.
The two keys now is Sterling to go down and get a couple of 2 or 3 first downs. They could put this game over, and Delran must stop them right here.
And remember, Sterling uses exclusively the run. That eats time up. Oh, what a big hit that time from Kevin Jordan on Joe Miller. And I want to tell you what, it takes a lot to put Miller down, but Jordan hit him in a hurry.
Now, he got through there before Jordan hit him. He was going to pick up 5 or 6 yards, and boom, Kevin Jordan came right through.
2nd down and 7. Sterling has had problems moving the ball here in the second half.
Well, you know they're not going to throw, so they got to jam everybody up here and try to stop this run. Counter.
They do. They go with the counter play, and it goes absolutely nowhere. That'll be a penalty, or at least it should be. No flags are thrown on the play. That's the Bill Duff that we know from the wrestling mat. He was using one of those takedown moves. And he will receive a lot of boos from the crowd, and I'm not quite so sure, Ed, that shouldn't have been a penalty. That seemed a long time after the whistle.
Nah, it's football. Let them play.
I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd like this. Take a look at Bill Duff. Well, one thing's for sure, Duff didn't take him down. I mean, he just threw him down. He didn't pile on top of him. That probably saved him the flag. He did come up with a 4-yard loss. Duff has played an outstanding game defensively.
Hey, 3rd down and just a little bit over 10.
3rd and 11. Will Gallagher go to the air? No, they'll pitch it. They'll keep it on the ground, on the sweep. And just short of the first down is number 43, Robert Mann. Mann got only to the 49-yard line, a pickup of about 9, but he needed to get across midfield for the first, and Sterling will punt it again.
Yeah, you notice they ran away from Duff on that one. And again, that was a great gain of about 9 yards, but the killer was the 2 previous plays.
And again, Sterling has yet to throw a pass this afternoon.
Back deep for Delran.
Prince will punt it from his 35. He almost missed the football, but it takes a bounce for Sterling. I tell you what, that was dangerous. That nearly hit Martin Dunlap of Delran, as that ball just kind of knuckled off the foot of Prince, and the Bears will start on their 30-yard line with half a quarter to go and down by 4 points at 10-6.
This is probably the critical series here for Delran, because if you don't get on and score here, you're probably not going to get the ball back again. So this is going to be big.
Well, they got it back within 2 minutes last time, but you're right, Ed. You wonder how long they continue to stand up this Sterling offense defensively. For the power I, Lott cannot get outside, and another great defensive play in there that time by the linebacker Drew Carter, who was coming on a blitz.
Carter just came right through there and stuff. That's going to be a loss of at least 4 or 5 yards. 4 yards, 5 yards. Now you got no choice. You got to throw the ball.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ed, we said right at the top of our broadcast that this game may come down to defense, and so far that's the kind of contest that we've had this afternoon. And Sterling, every time they seem like they're in a hole, has been able to rely on this very stingy defense. Saka on a play action will try to throw, forced out of the pocket this time. Now we'll try to take off with the football, but nowhere to go, because right there to stop him was Brian Prince. And I believe we've got a late flag thrown on the play, as Prince, maybe in a little bit of an answer to Bill Duff, decided to throw Saka well out of bounds. That, if it is a personal foul, will be a first down for the Bears, and that is a huge, huge penalty.
Yes, you have to use your head in those situations. You just threw him for another loss. They're facing third down and about 16, and you go make a late hit out of bounds. Coaches will go crazy in that situation.
Well,
no excuse for that at all.
Jim Gallagher is upset, I think, that the flag was thrown there and not against Bill Duff. But, you know, what happened with Bill Duff is past history, Ed. You're right. You got to stay composed. That's a huge, huge play. First and 10 Bears at their own 40-yard line. Saka will throw on first down, coming outside looking for Brandon, and he's overthrown.
Well, I'll tell you one thing in that play. That's a great throw by Saka there. Brandon slowed down and then jumped. He's got to run full speed for that ball.
And had he run full speed, Ed, and I'm sure the Delran coaches will realize this when they take a look at the film, that was 6 points, because the defensive back that time, number 30, Bob Shelley, had very late help coming from Jay Brook. I don't think they'd have caught up to the receiver. Second and 10, 3 receivers to the right. Delayed, get the Lott. He's caught in the backfield. Nobody fooled on that, as again on the blitz coming all the way was Devin Carter, getting help from big Ernest Stewart. Loss of 5 on the play. Not a bad call, Ed. They sent 3 wide receivers to the right. Certainly looked like a passing formation, but you can't use a draw play against a deep penetrating blitz like Sterling put on that time. 3rd and 15. Backs in the eyes. Saka to throw on 3rd down. Going long again, looking downfield for Olivo, and he's got it! He gets away from his man! Olivo! Touchdown!
That is unbelievable, because you're practically in a prevent. You can't let somebody behind you, and he gets behind him, and a great throw by Saka.
A 64-yard touchdown strike from Ralph Saka to Joe Olivo, and Delran has taken the lead. Great individual effort from this guy, Ed.
Olivo just never gave up on that ball and just kept going right down the court.
What a second half effort from the Bears. Bad snap. Ball got away, and they'll not be able to beat the conversion. And that's a big play, Ed, because that leaves this game on a 2-point margin and makes it possible for Sterling to win with a field goal.
That's absolutely right, but here's the play right here. Saka back. He's going to throw this thing long. Good tight spiral, and a great play there by Olivo. And beats everybody to the end zone.
Outstanding coverage on that play, too, from our crew. here at Garden State Cable TV.
I'll tell you what, if Sterling doesn't come back and win the game, they're going to be looking at two huge plays. Roughing the punter that started the drive when Delran scored the first time, and that big pass there that covered about 45 yards.
Well, and not only that play, but how about the personal foul penalty? Instead of looking at 3rd down and about 16 or 17, Delran was given a gift on a personal foul, and that really kept that drive alive.
I give Delran a lot of credit for hanging in here, but I'll tell you what, Sterling let them off the hook. Sterling was in total control of this game, and they were leading 10-0 with the opportunity to go ahead by more and let Delran get back into it.
What is it with Delran in the playoffs? They're undefeated, 7-0. They have a 19-point deficit in their first game and win. They were down 10-0 here and now lead 12-10. And the Sterling Knights will have their work cut out for them. 4 minutes and 3 seconds to go, and they'll begin this drive on their own 20-yard line.
And they're going to have to take this thing 80 yards for a touchdown, or at least get into field goal range, which is going to have to take them down to about at least the 20-yard line. So they either got a 60 or 80-yard drive.
Now, all year long, Ed, this team, Sterling, has done it with running and defense. They haven't had to throw the ball because they've kept other teams off the board. But very few times this season have they found themselves down and in a need to move the football quickly. They've got time, but I think they may have to throw the ball. First pass of the game, and it's in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Jay Brook. Now, I don't want to make it sound either that Santana is not capable of throwing the ball. He put that one right on the mark, so you can see the young man can throw, but that was just his first attempt of the afternoon.
Okay, Santana back, throws it out, right in the individual's hands. You got to catch that ball. And that's the biggest problem is when you don't throw it all, and then you have to start throwing the ball. To throw well, you must practice throwing, and you have to throw during the game if you're going to be good at it. So a big disadvantage now for Sterling.
Clock stops on the incomplete, 3:58 to play. Back split out of the eye. Santana will throw again. He's under pressure, comes backside, and boy, that's well defended that time. Making a big hit was Dave Forsell. Pass was complete, but the clock will continue to run, and they're short of the first down, looking at 3rd and 6.
Okay, here he is back to throw. Santana throws over, and a big hit there by Forsell. Great tackle. Again, from not throwing the ball the entire game, now they just had 2 straight passes. Now we're faced with another 3rd down 6.
3rd and 6. Single back, and they'll throw it again. Santana tripped a little bit coming out. Ball overthrown. Missed the intended receiver out there, number 15, Jay Brook. And it'll bring up 4th and long, and it looks like Sterling's going to punt the football away and try to get it back with their defense, Ed.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's not a lot of time left in this game, and I don't know. You either got to fake or you're going to have to use all your timeouts to get the ball back, because Delran's probably going to run 2 or 3 times in a row.
Prince will punt it from his own 10-yard line. It, again, is not a very good punt. And see, based on that, Ed, I'm not so sure you don't go ahead and try it anyway. The Bears are going to get the football at the Sterling 45-yard line. But again, it could be all academic. If they pick up 1, maybe 2 first downs, the game will be over anyway. 12-10. The Bears, as you see it, lead by 2. Just 3 minutes remaining in the ball game. The sun making a reappearance and definitely shining on Delran right now. Forsell, the fullback, scurries through, breaks a tackle, and gets to the 40-yard line. A pickup of about 6.
And your combination, you got a 6 or 7 yard gain, and the clock is running. And pretty soon Sterling's going to have to start calling timeouts to stop the clock. But I'll tell you another thing. Again, sounding like a quarterback when I say it, but this game was won on offense by passing. The pass in that end zone and this 45, 50-yard pass. If teams only run the ball and then make mistakes, they have problems.
Well, Delran has mixed it up very nicely here in the second half. Saka tried the little goose play, the quick quarterback sneak, and that went nowhere.
Devin Carter in that play, and he stuffed that play. There was absolutely nothing there. So it wasn't surprising here. We went to Forsell, who made a nice run. Saka tries a sneak, and we're talking about a lot hasn't touched the ball. I mean, give the ball to Lott if you're trying to run out the clock.
Yeah, Lott hasn't had the fantastic day. He's only had 31 yards, but he came up with some big fourth down conversions in one of the touchdown drives in the third quarter.
He's going to get it here, though.
He will get it. Let's see if he picks up the first down. He'll be close. He needed to get to the 36. Clock down to 1:33 left, and they'll wait and see whether they measure before Sterling decides to call a timeout. They're not going to measure. It's fourth down.
You know what's interesting here? I wouldn't punt here. Try to run for the first down. Your punters haven't been punting it any more than 15 or 20 yards anyway.
And
that's
now,
what they're going to talk about.
Oh my! Delran calls a timeout. I'm not sure if you really want to do that, because you stop the clock and do Sterling a favor. I think especially if you're going to punt the ball here, you just take the delay and then move back 5 yards. Well,
I don't think
at any rate, we'll take a break on the timeout. 1:14 left in this Group 2 championship. Delran clinging to a 2-point lead.
For anyone who has wished on a star.
You can't ask Santa Claus for that.
Or dreamed of snowy nights.
But I know you'll do it. You have to.
Or believed in the magic of Christmas. A brand new old-fashioned holiday miracle is coming to you this season.
Oh, I usually specialize in stuff you can wrap.
See, you gotta believe.
All I Want for Christmas, rated G.
December on Garden State Cable's first run service.
Fourth and less than a yard. Saka slipped, but he got the first down, and that may do it. Now Sterling has timeouts left, but there is only 1:10 remaining in the ball game. Jim Gallagher, Ed, has not made any indication that he's going to call a timeout.
Well, he better call one pretty soon. He better call it right now.
I'll tell you, they don't give you anything for leaving those in your pocket. And I don't see any indication that Sterling is going to call a timeout. This is like a concession.
Now you got to call a timeout here. You're just giving him the game.
Well, that appears what it is. It appears like a concession that you're going to go ahead and lose this football game. And now Sterling will use a timeout. I guess they wanted to let one more down go, and then they can call timeouts on consecutive plays here. Finally, they get the timeout with 34 seconds to go.
Well, you know what you can do here? You can go to your knee on second down, third down, and fourth down, and then you're dumping it back if they even get it back to pass the ball.
Of course, if Sterling has, yeah, you're right. You're right. Sterling, I guess, has the potential. We have some confusion up here as to whether or not Sterling has 2 timeouts or 1 timeout remaining. If they only have 1 more, there's no way they're going to get the football back. If they have 2 more, they have the potential to get it back with, what, only a couple of seconds remaining.
I thought they called one down here when they were on defense on the extra point.
Here's the play that made the difference in this contest right here, and it came on the arm of Ralph Saka.
Saka takes it back, throws this right down the right seam, grabbed by Alivo, defenders fall, and he runs in and scores, and that may be the winning touchdown of this whole game.
64-yard strike. Great catch by Alivo, great throw by Saka, and now they'll try to run out the clock. Saka will kneel down, and the clock will continue to run. And I think that's it. I think Sterling's not even going to use their last timeout.
They took it.
Oh, they do. Okay. Now, we believe that that's the last time. It is. There's nothing that Sterling can do to get this football back unless there was some kind of fumble or a repeat of the old miracle of the Meadowlands. The real miracle here, Ed, is Delran. They were down by a combined 29 points at halftime in their 2 playoff games, and it appears that they're going to come back to win both of them, and that is almost remarkable.
Well, it was absolutely tremendous because they really should have been out of this game. They were losing 10-0. They stopped Sterling on the 1-inch line, and then Sterling had to kick that field goal. So that should have been at that point 14, and Sterling had dominated the first 2 quarters.
You know what's interesting? We talked at the beginning about strategy or luck. What would it be, strategy or luck? And it appears that Delran has, in 2 consecutive playoff wins this year, used a lot of luck. The first luck was all the turnovers that Hamilton had in the first round of the playoffs, the 4 in the second half, allowing Delran to win 23-19. The luck in this game was the roughing the kicker play that they got to continue their drive, and also the personal foul penalty that they got to continue their other scoring drive. And it looks like, again, they're going to pull off the miracle and win the South Jersey Group 2 championship. The Delran Bears with a final score of 12-10 as the celebration begins here at Sterling High School.
Final score, Delran 12, Sterling 10. Congratulations to the Delran Bears for winning the South Jersey Group 2 state championship.
For the last 11 years, millions of people have crowded the Crystal Cathedral to witness
they want, and the law
Cinemax, the best movie network on TV.
The celebration continues for the Delran Bears as they win the South Jersey Group 2 championship by a final of 12-10 over the Sterling Silver Knights. Delran was down 10-0 at halftime, and once again they pulled the rabbit out of the hat, use a big second half, take advantage of some mistakes, Ed, and win this thing and bring home a championship. They're now 8-0 in playoff competition, and that's their 4th Group 2 title.
Well, Jack, very impressive. Now, one of the stats for the second half, Ralph Sacker is 6 for 21. Now, that doesn't look impressive because it's like about 30%. But he was at one time 2 for 13, 143 yards, the big strike of over 45 yards to Olivio, which won the game, and 2 touchdown passes. Now, as I said to you before, some of the big keys to the game, electing to try to block that punt with a 10-0 lead. Roughing the punter, Delran gets it back and goes down and scores. In this last drive, Delran was at 2nd and 14. They ran out of bounds. They roughed them well out of bounds. Instead of getting them 3rd and 18, Delran gets it back and right afterwards throws the touchdown pass.
Yeah, there were big key turning moments in this second half, no doubt about it, but it was Delran who came out of the locker room at halftime and said, hey, listen, we've got to some way mix this up a little bit. We weren't having very much success with the pass in the first half. We've got to come up and mix it up better. I thought that was a real key to their success here in the second half.
No question about it.
Well, that'll do it for a season of football here on Garden State Cable TV, and what a tremendous season it's been. Unfortunately for Sterling, they end up on the short end of a stick and see their undefeated record go down the tubes, losing here this afternoon by a final of 12-10. I want to thank our program coordinator, Cammie Trinidad, for her work in this 1992 season, along with our executive producer, Rita Lipsky. Our director has been Mr. John Meyer. Thanks also to the many young men and ladies who have worked diligently on our crew here this season. I want to thank Ed Foley for stepping in again this afternoon and being part of the broadcast team. And to Gary Cobb, who was with us for most of the season, we say a special thank you. I'm Jack Hibbert. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for basketball and wrestling coming up for you here on Garden State Cable TV. Congratulations to the Delran Bears, the South Jersey Group 2 1992 champions.